I consider humility and practicality essential attributes of knowledge. But the Tantric Aghoris and Mantriks do not have even an iota of humility. Wrapped up in themselves, they are hot-tempered, arrogant, and they think no end of themselves. Without humility, it is not possible for the personality to develop fully. This is the basis of sadhana which makes a person above the ordinary. A merely learned or knowledgeable person cannot be the greatest. Great is one who combines learning and knowledge with humility, and I had not met such a person. Great tantrics and mantriks I had met had no humility. Their ego was too dominant. They craved praise to inflate their ego. I was excited and decided to attend the convention. But then I learned that only those who had mastered at least one of the Dashamaha Vidyas, 10 great skills of Tantra, namely Kali, Tara, Bhuneshwari, Shodashi Tripura Sundari, Tripura Bhairavi, Chinnamasta, Dhumavati, Bagalamukhi, Matangi and Kamalatmika, or had accomplished with success Shama Sadhana of the leftist method, or Pitambari Sadhana with Aghor Tantra with Gauraksha Sadhana, or was an expert in the Mruta Sanjeevini Vidya in Tantrism, would be allowed to participate. Some such criteria had been laid down, and anyone who met with even one of the required conditions satisfactorily would be considered qualified to attend. I had learnt Tara Sadhana from Booth Baba successfully. The organizers gave me the entry permit when I demonstrated this Kriya. This permit was the harbinger of good luck for me. On the strength of that alone, I could attend the convention and could meet distinguished tantrics and realize my long cherished desire to find a guru at last. A day before the inauguration of the convention, I met the convener Abhayanandji. He was extremely busy, perhaps more harassed than busy. He was anxious to make sure that there were no shortcomings in the arrangements. He was particularly concerned since all the expected participants were highly distinguished people and were of different temperaments. It was said that some of them were the very incarnation of Durvasa, the fiery-tempered sage, and would fly into a rage at the slightest excuse. They could be up to anything if they did not find something quite to their liking. It was no wonder that the organizers were so nervous. Burbua Baba, who is basically a spiritual saint, was the spearhead of the activities. But at the same time, he is an accomplished tantric with a worldwide reputation. He is highly respected in the spiritual as well as tantric circles. His was the greatest contribution in getting together distinguished people at one place. He was the main source of inspiration behind the organization and had worked very hard for it. After some effort, when I met Burbua Baba a day before the convention, I found him very calm, but his mind was at work. When I questioned him about the convention, he said, "This is a crucial test of my life. If this 10-day convention goes off well, I shall consider that as the greatest achievement of my life." I had heard quite a lot about Burbua Baba, and I was happy to see all that for myself now. Basically, he is a tantric, but in the last several years, he has devoted his life to spiritual development. There is a difference of opinion about his age. According to some, it is more than 600 years, and they have evidence to prove this. But he does not look more than 60 or 70, a calm and serene face, sharp eyes, and a glowing personality. There is solid knowledge and long experience behind his utterances. Indeed, he is the only great personality in his field. The convention started the next morning at 10 o'clock. Burbua Baba's disciples were posted all around. They had strict instruction to permit only those to enter who had entry passes, and to stop anyone about whom they had the slightest doubt, and not allow him to enter until after Burbua Baba himself had scrutinized him. No matter how important, how distinguished a person was, care was taken to see that each participant had an entry pass. Several tantrics had arrived in the morning itself, but there was no slackness anywhere in the arrangements. About 400 tantrics and mantrics had gathered at the convention, one greater than the other. No one considered himself lesser than the others. All of them had accomplished very special sadhanas, had earned distinction in their own areas, and were renowned personalities. Most of them had only a strip of cloth tucked around the waist, with ash smeared all over the body. Some had such long hair that it swept the floor as they walked. Some had covered themselves with strips of iron instead of cloth. Over 100 ascetics wore no clothes at all. Some had a string of bones round the neck. One of them wore 11 human skulls strung together around the neck. Some wore strange beads, and some had covered their entire bodies with clothes. One of the sadhus had tied a string of human skulls around his waist. Some of them were Bhairavis, about 15 or 20 of them. Some looked quite old, but one or two were pretty and bright looking. They were between 20 to 25 years of age. I was surprised how they could have accomplished such difficult kriyas at such a young age. But strange are the ways of tantrics. It was likely that through some kriyas they had stopped growing in age and had preserved their youth forever. There were a few Hatha Yogis too. One Hatha Yogi's foot was so swollen that its circumference could not be less than 6 feet. Some Hatha Yogis were giant-sized. One or two were so emaciated that their hands looked like dry sticks. There were a good number of agoris who were absolutely nude and looked like huge monsters. There were layers of dirt on their bodies, exuding unbearable stench, but they were quite unconscious of this. Among them were a few distinguished tantrics of the leftist school who were so frightful to look at that ordinary people would have fainted at the very sight of them. Their bodies were huge and frightening, and faces fierce. Although too busy, Swami Abhayananda welcomed each and everyone adequately. Burbua Baba was very careful in not letting anyone feel hurt and saw to it that everyone got a proper place. More than the expected number of tantrics turned up. Some of them were those legendary personalities of whom we had been hearing in half-belief and amazement. Seeing them in person filled one with awesome wonder. Indeed, it was a miracle on Burbua Baba's part to have succeeded in getting them together. Ma Krupalu Bhairavi, Ananda Bhairavi, the master of Pishacha Siddhis, Ma Debul Bhairavi, and others made us happy by their participation. Among others were Pagala Baba, Swami Dehur Baba, Krupalu Swami, Baba Bhairavnath, Karparananda Bharati, Swami Girijananda Agori, Virda Swami, and Trijata Agori. They were unique personalities with worldwide fame, and for tantrics they are specially venerable. They have achieved extraordinary siddhis. I was thrilled to see them all together in one place. But for this convention, I could never have even dreamt of having a glimpse of them. Not only I, most of the tantrics present there were in raptures. ನಾರಾಯಣೋ ತ್ವಂ ನಿಖಿಲೇಶ್ವರೋ ತ್ವಂ ಮಾತಾ ಪಿತಾ ಗುರು ಆತ್ಮಾ ತ್ವಮೇವಂ ಬ್ರಹ್ಮಾ ತ್ವಂ ವಿಷ್ಣುರುದ್ರ ತ್ವಮೇವಂ ಸಿದ್ಧಾಶ್ರಮೋ ತ್ವಂ ಗುರುವಂ ಪ್ರಣಮ್ಯಂ ತ್ವಮೇವ ಮಾತಾ ಚ ಪಿತಾ ತ್ವಮೇವ ತ್ವಮೇವ ಬಂಧುಶ್ಚ ಸಖಾ ತ್ವಮೇವ ತ್ವಮೇವ ವಿದ್ಯಾ ದ್ರವಿಣಂ ತ್ವಮೇವ ತ್ವಮೇವ ಸರ್ವಂ ಮಮ ದೇವ ದೇವ. ತ್ವದೀಯಂ ವಸ್ತು ನಿಖಿಲಂ ತುಭ್ಯಮೇವಂ ಸಮರ್ಪಯೇತ್. ಜೈ ಗುರುದೇವ್. ಪರಮಪೂಜ್ಯ ಗುರುದೇವ್ ಯೋಗಿರಾಜ್ ಸ್ವಾಮಿ ನಿಖಿಲೇಶ್ವರಾನಂದಜಿ ಮಹಾರಾಜರ ಪವಿತ್ರತಮ ದಿವ್ಯ ಚರಣಾರವಿಂದಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಸಪ್ರೇಮಪೂರ್ವಕ ಸಮರ್ಪಣೆ ಈ ಭಾವಾನುವಾದ. ಅತ್ಯಂತ ಕೃತಜ್ಞತಾಪೂರ್ವಕವಾಗಿ ಗುರೂಜಿ ನಿಖಿಲ್ ಸಚ್ಚಿದಾನಂದ.